I'm Bill Brandt. I graduated Fairmont West in 1965. And as you just heard, that was the first split graduating class where we had an East and a West. And this guy here, in the fall of '64, played in the first East-West football game, and he put on quite a show. You'll probably hear more about that when he starts talking. But I've known Bob Withrow since 1955. I met him on the school bus on the way to our first day of school at Beavertown Elementary School in the 2nd grade. And with his brother Calvin, who we had to call Bud because we couldn't say Calvin back then. We didn't know how to pronounce it, right, Bob? So Bud, Bob, myself, and my brother Tom, in our neighborhood, we played all sports. You name it, whatever the season was, we played it. And we didn't do much of anything else. Now, in the 5th grade, Bobby and I were in the band together. Bobby played clarinet, and I played saxophone. When we were supposed to be practicing, though, the problem was we were outside playing ball. So we didn't practice that much. But I'm not here to tell you about all the great things that Bob did because, you know, a lot of you people out there witnessed what he did. I'm here to tell you that he was intense, and I don't have enough time to go over all of his great moments. But I can tell you some things that he did not do well. One of those things was play the clarinet. In fact, our first day at D.L. Barnes, walking into the band room, I think our teacher was Mr. Klein. He pointed Bobby over to the last chair of the clarinet section. He said, "Go sit there, Bob." He said, "You're not going to be Benny Goodman. You might be more like Benny Hill." But there were other things that Bobby didn't do well back then. One day, I dug my father's golf clubs out of our attic, and I grabbed Bob and we walked down the street. We lived about a block from WHIO. They had a par 3 hole there for a television show that they did way back when. And so Bobby and I set up and we started trying to hit the green. It's only 90 yards. You know. And we could never hit the green. And Bob doesn't remember this for some reason, I don't know why. But when we started talking about it, he says, "Well, my game hasn't changed that much." But then I reminded him, about 4 years later, after we graduated, I had gotten a job at WHIO, and I got Bob to come on to a show called Golf Green, and that's what that par 3 hole was all about. You would stand back there and try to hit the green, and then you'd try to make a putt for a birdie, and you'd win a prize. Well, the problem is Bob didn't hit the green. But, that's funny, Bob. He did remember that part of it. But somebody mentioned intensity before. That's Bob Withrow. Anything that he ever did sports-wise, whether it was football, basketball, track, and you know, I played baseball with him, and he went a little farther in baseball than I did, but Bob was always intense. He practiced until he was too tired to practice, and then he played. But what Bob did is he carried that sort of intensity through his career at Fairmont, and then on into college, through college, and into where he found his passion in life was coaching high school football. And he did it with the same intensity that he had here at Fairmont when he played basketball, football here, and he was on the track team. He was named Coach of the Year. I mean, you can see this in your program. I don't want to repeat a lot of what's in there. But here's something that a local writer in Jacksonville said about Bob that kind of wraps the whole thing up about him. He said, he's the most hard rock coach I've ever encountered. He believed in having his players go full speed, full contact, every day, every drill. He pushed them to the limit. And that's the way it happened here at Fairmont. That's the way the coaches got the best performance from all their athletes. And I think what's happening here today is a little better than maybe what he thought would be his greatest moment in sports at this point. When you made a hole-in-one at your local golf club. I think your golf game has improved. And I think your golf game is so good that probably in a few years you're going to be able to shoot your age, right? For 9. At any rate, you know, it's such an honor for me to have been your friend all these years, and now to be up here and presenting you to these people. I'd like to present you with my old friend and teammate, Bob Withrow.
Thank you, Bill. Bill and I go way back. Yeah, he's telling me all these stories, and I don't remember them. Some of them I can't tell you up here, but I think he's making it up. Thank you, Bill. And first, I just want to thank God for just blessing me unbelievably. And my biggest blessing, I'd like to introduce my wife, Diane. And my 2 daughters, one of them's back here, Jennifer, and she's from Jacksonville, Florida, but her family could not make it. And my other daughter is Katie. Where's Katie? There's Katie over here. She's from Atlanta. She's here with her family, husband Ed, and Ryan, Carson, and Big Austin. My brother Cal, who's already in the Hall of Fame, would have loved to be here. And my sister Bev would have loved to be here. But they're now watching in heaven, and I'm thankful for that. But Cal's son and wife, Jason and Lisa, are here from Lexington, Kentucky, and I appreciate that. I taught and coached in Florida and some in Georgia, and so I saw a lot of schools through the years. And you know, you get into comparing things, and from what I saw at Fairmont when I was a student here and what I see now, comparing that to all the schools, Fairmont is right there at the top. I mean, it is an unbelievable school. As far as being selected for the Hall of Fame, I really want to thank Bill, of course, and Jeannie Wolf-Rauch is here somewhere, hiding, there she is, for nominating me and pushing me, and for all the others who wrote letters on my behalf, I thank you. I'd like to also thank the committee for selecting me to this honor, and I am very, very proud of this honor. It means a lot to me, and thank you to all that are involved with the Hall of Fame. This is not just a walk-in, shake your hand, say, this is quite an event, and it is really special, but what would you expect from Fairmont? Anything less? No. But to get to the point, it didn't just happen. You have to have in a team sport a lot of help from your teammates, and I had some super teammates. And thinking back, I don't remember a player on any of our teams that I didn't like. Now, as a coach for 40 years, I can think of a lot of players on our team that I didn't like. like your parents either. But thank you to all my teammates. I would not be here without you guys. In a team sport, you've just got to have teammates to be successful. But we'll really never know how good we could have been if our school hadn't been split. I mean, we all both had, you know, about 500 and some in our graduating classes. And so, but when you split them, it really hurt us, especially in team sports. I first played basketball at Beavertown. I was fortunate enough to play as a 5th grader on the 6th grade team. And about that age, Bill and I, we were always looking for places to go play basketball. And so we had a lot of places around the neighborhood we could play. But as we got older, we got tired of playing in the snow, so we started looking for places to go play. So we would break in these schools. It was something that you cannot do these days with all the security in that. So we did that, and we found a church over in Belmont, and we break in there, and there was this old apple farm out in Beaver Creek. And this family had, I think they haven't had a basketball player, but the mother would run the place. And they had seats like this along the wall, and you'd come in with your team and pay a quarter. And you would play until you lost. When you lost, you sit out, and some new team comes on. And so that was a lot of fun. Football started, though, in the 7th grade. We played on the 8th grade team, but we didn't get to play very much. We got to watch. But I did get into one game and made a fantastic tackle. But they thought it was John Snyder that made that tackle. Well, John got to play some the next game. I got to watch John play. But we had our big moment. Barnes versus Van Buren 7th graders. Man, that was a game. We had 13 players on our team. And I don't remember the other guy that was sitting on the bench beside me when the game started. I also don't remember that stupid coach's name either. But I didn't get discouraged. Went to our freshman, played in 8th grade and played our freshman year. But I missed the entire season. We were practicing punting. And after long snapping, Coach put me over on defense. And so I said, well, I'm going to go and block the punt. And so I go running in there, and I blocked the punt from old Marv Hill. And I blocked it so well that he kicked me right in the belly. So anyway, to make a long story short, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you that story. But anyway, I went to the hospital. And I was in the hospital for 10 days. I was out of school for a month. So I missed that entire season. But I wasn't discouraged. I went out for the JVs, where we got this great honor. I don't know if they still do it or not, but the JVs got to march in the Labor Day parade. Full uniform, 90-some degrees, and I hated it. Then, though, the coach, he had me playing defensive end. I didn't care. You know, whatever. I was just happy to be playing. But then the next year, on varsity, they moved me to offensive end. They didn't call them wide receivers back then. Offensive end and defensive back. And to my surprise, the first game, I'm starting at cornerback and offensive end. I'm just happy to be playing, and I'm getting a start. And on the other end was Rod Miller of the Hall of Fame. So, wow, I had come a long way since a 7th grade bench warmer. I felt like I was a real dragon now, which led me to one of our most memorable games. We were playing Middletown. Somebody said it was a UD, but my mind tells me it was at Middletown. I don't remember, but I do remember we were down 20-0 at halftime. But we came out the second half and we finally scored. So we kick off to Middletown. They run it back for a touchdown. They kick off to us. Rod runs it back for a touchdown. So 3 plays, 3 touchdowns in a row. And we ended up tying 34-all. That was quite a game. And 2 weeks later, we get down and we're playing our big rival against one of my old buddies here, Jim Seawee here somewhere. There he's in the back. I told him I was going to tell the story. So we're playing down at UD. I mean, it's packed, both sides. I mean, you couldn't fit anybody in there, and it was a very, very close game. Then I scored, caught the ball, ran through the end zone, and my mother, who worked, she got fired from her job, I don't know how many times, from missing for going to football games. The guy would always hire her back. But there she is in the end zone. I'm looking right at her, and she had this cowbell. And she was wild. That's where my brother got it from. I mean, she's running this cowbell like crazy. And we went on to win 10-0. But what was really funny, though, about that game was we had to punt. And they muffed the punt. And I caught the ball on the dead run. Well, most people don't know that you cannot advance a muff kick. But the crowd was roaring. So I asked you, what would you do? I kept running to the cowbell. So I ran all the way down the end zone. I didn't care, man. You know, you do the same thing. So we went on to win the NVL that year. Now my senior year, that was a different story. That's where the split of the schools really affected us on the football game. The first 5 games were all really close games, but we just couldn't quite get it done. Then the coaches switched quarterback. They put Marv Hill at quarterback. And if it hadn't been for that switch, my life would have been different. That switch of Marv to quarterback changed my whole life. I would not have been anything. I would not have been recruited. I would not have met my wife. I would not have had my family and grandkids. So God blessed me with that switch. Then we played our first game ever between West and East. And Marv threw me 2 touchdown passes. And old Steve Alexander over here threw me another touchdown pass. And we were the Kettering Kings. We beat them pretty bad, 26-0. Now for basketball, I have one short story to share with you, and it's about our championship game at Stebbins. And I remember it was cold like it is right now. That's why I live in Florida. The game plan was a good one, I guess. On offense, I was supposed to go to the corner and stay out of the way until a shot was taken, and I was supposed to go get the rebound or go to the other end and play defense. We had 2 great scorers, Tom Maxwell and Doug McCormick. They each averaged 20 points. So the rest of us, you know, we didn't get the ball a lot. So, but anyway, that was my job. That was our game plan. I was supposed to get in the corner, stay out of the way, and play defense. Well, you know, sometimes in the middle of the attack, you have to change. Well, somehow I kept getting the ball. I wasn't supposed to touch the ball. But I kept getting the ball, and guess what? I kept scoring. I was a high scorer. I scored more points than I ever scored in a game before. And my normal assignment was I was to play defense on their best player and go get offensive rebounds. I led the team in 2 categories, offensive rebounds and fouls. They give you 5. I was going to use at least 4. This game I didn't foul out in though. So anyway, we beat Stebbins in a very close game by 2 points for the WOL championship. And I remember I guarded Bill Long. Some of you Ohio State fans might know that he ended up being the starting quarterback at Ohio State. And later I got to know him when we played in the Ohio All-Star game up in Canton and became good friends. But again, let me emphasize that I would not be here if it hadn't been for my teammates. I love them all. I mean, I wish big regret I have is not staying in touch with more of them. But all my memories of Fairmont are good memories. I thank you for this honor, and God bless you.